Hi, my name is Zachary Angela, and I'm going to go over my Gollemer project. I made a lot more, I guess you could say, updates, and that no dependencies back again. I cleaned up all the folders a lot more. Still models, saved in the models folder. The training is down to one file, so it's not so widespread training. But you can always, well, you may have to change things in order to add more, but you'd be able to add more like this kind of format, but it wouldn't. You would just use the LLM to make it learn in a different format, and it wouldn't really be that hard to code. It's just one function. I also updated it to have a config of all these properties. And the reason why I did this was I had the supervisor watch the experts and then update this config kind of on the fly and hot reload it. The supervisor also can generate or remove experts, so depending upon the training data that sort of goes on. You could kind of see that if you, I don't want to clean out the training data, but if you do make train dash social, you kind of see where it's, grabs it from that training data, and then the supervisor looks over all the experts. As there's only 8 that kind of look over each token, I guess you could say, and then try to specialize. And then there's another, I guess you could say, layer that tries to specialize in grammar above them. As you can tell, the supervisor then tests out the sentences to see if everything's kind of going okay. It gives you the readout of the grammar score, the similarity score, the epoch, and just the general, I guess you say token score or guessing score. Then it also saves your progress. And it's pretty cool, I think. The other thing it kind of does, but it isn't quite doing it correctly, I need to still fix it, is the supervisor also, see how it overfit active, lockdown, engage. And basically what that means is if it tests stuff out and it's not quite up to par, it'll kind of go into this force feed mode for the experts to kind of learn hard. Hence why in the beginning the training kind of comes off kind of slower. At least it does on my Chromebook. And then as you can see, it's starting to kind of add a little more vocab and everything. And there's the next epoch, and you can then kind of compare scores. 39, that actually went down, the score for this one. But the similarity went way up. And the grammar went way up too. But, it does just the first couple or whatever. And the issue is because the training data is kind of messed up, because the supervisor can actually update the training data, which you would think would be good, but it ends up, I don't even know where it gets this stuff from, I'll be really honest. But it kind of added in, I am processing the concept of, and then it had a bunch of these things, and I really don't know why it added, I am processing the concept of. I should probably just remove that or have it not do that. But yeah, basically the supervisor looks over all of it and kind of gives it a certain score, gives it a certain test. Every 20 epochs, it just shuffles the board, sort of, if things aren't quite up to par. It's not quite as smart as you think it is, but It's a way for me to, because it can control these variables kind of for each expert. But a lot of times what it kind of ends up doing instead, sort of, is it'll look toward the greatest expert and then it'll try to clone it, sort of, which isn't always great. It's a process. And then to, I guess you could say, talk to it, so to speak. I'll see. No, it's almost all that. If you said, if you gave it one of these lines, see, hi there, how can I help you today? So and then there's, the intent, and then I guess you could say the tagging that it's sort of predicting. But, I didn't run it through its paces, so if I gave it this one, it probably wouldn't give quite as good. Yeah, see, that wasn't even... Oh, it did the override thing. This visit screwed up so bad. Error token 9 is out of vocabulary range. But yeah, it's coming along-ish, sorta. It's getting more, I guess you could say, abstract, and but it's learning a lot quicker. That's for sure. It just isn't. I don't think the accuracy is completely there, and that's just some that I'm working on, and trying to make the supervisor more intelligent, so that it can fix things on the fly while training, so that when you actually do let it train, it'd be a lot more accurate. As far as getting it down to like a perfect sentence, I'm not sure if that's even a possibility without running a different model that like does like a RAG model type lookup thing. Because when you do it token to token, there's only so much you can predict, right? In order to make a sentence perfect. It's not like that's how our brains work. We do memorize phrases. We do memorize how to answer a question. If I ask you, how are you today? A lot of people go, oh, I'm fine. Did you go in your memory banks of vocab that you've read and said, oh, the first word should be I'm. What should be the next? You didn't do that. You had this reply that, just kind of came out because you memorized it. Your brain didn't even have to. And I'm guessing in order to make the sentence perfect, or like conversational, you sort of have to have a lot of those, if I had to guess. Like a giant bank of them. But I also don't want to just have a giant bank of them. I want it to be able to learn on its own, sort of. That's sort of the point. Yeah. So I also get rid of all the most of the database stuff. I think there might be like some files in there, but it shouldn't really be using it. There are still all these tools. But for the most part, this thing's pretty clean. The doc folders, that's just, if anything, I should just delete that. I wanted to make a website thing on the README, but I don't know. Who cares? Internal is it's the brain of it, basically. That's where it learns to train. Scripts are basically when I do a make stuff, like the make file. That's where it kind of runs things. So it uses these in the make file. Data is what I just showed, was the training data and the config. CMD is really for inspection. It's not really something that has to have. This is just the binary, and then these are just tool stuff. Actually, I could probably get rid of the binaries. That probably make it a whole lot less. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know.